Welcome to Stories by Rushik podcast. I want you to think for a second about how you physically feel when you're forced to navigate a space that's just entirely built for someone else.
Oh, yeah, like wearing someone else's shoes, but it's an entire room.
Right. Like, have you ever felt like an absolute introvert who is just desperately trying to survive in a hyper-extroverted world?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you're at a loud networking event or like one of those chaotic open-plan offices, and your social battery is just flashing red.
You're just scanning the exits.
Exactly. You're plotting a socially acceptable way to just escape. So take that visceral urge to disappear into the wallpaper and imagine doing the absolute opposite.
Which is terrifying.
It is.
Yeah.
Because today, we are exploring this incredibly witty essay by Rushik. And the core premise is, what happens when a self-proclaimed, socially allergic man decides to perform stand-up comedy in a chaotic Mumbai bar? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, his opening metaphor is just brilliant for this. He basically describes an introvert stepping onto a stage as being like a cat in a dog park, nervously meowing while everyone expects a bark.
As such a perfect image.
It really is. It instantly frames our whole conversation today around his unique thought leadership on, vulnerability and courage.
Yeah.
We're looking at a guy who intentionally walks into his own personal nightmare to see what happens when you just stop masking your fear.
But before we get into the comedy itself, we really need to set the scene, right? Like, establish the terrifying battlefield the author willingly stepped onto.
Because the setting is an introvert's ultimate nightmare.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
We are in this sticky watering hole in Bandra. It's cramped, and it's filled with extroverts who have been, marinating in bira and bad decisions for hours.
The vibe he describes is so specific. He calls it Auntie's Sanjeet rehearsal meets last call chaos. And for an introverted brain, which already has a lower threshold for external stimulation, an environment like that isn't just annoying. I mean, it is neurologically overwhelming.
And the sensory overload he describes is wild. There are these aggressive fairy lights, people drinking flat beer, and the air just smells like onion rings, fries, butter chicken,
and unhealed trauma.
Yes, unhealed trauma. It's so funny. So into this deeply hostile ecosystem walks the author. And his physical reaction is just visceral.
Yeah, his heart is going crazy.
He says it's tap dancing, like Michael Jackson doing cardio. And the way he's holding the mic, I was thinking about this. It's like he's clutching it like the last piece of dark chocolate in a house full of PMSing roommates.
Oh, man, that's exactly the energy. It's a pure fight or flight response. He's just clinging to it like a lifeboat.
Right.
And then the spotlight actually hits him. And he has this sudden, sharp realization. He writes that he was, quote, one panic attack away from becoming a viral meme.
Which is the most modern fear ever.
Exactly. It's so self-aware. He perfectly captures the internal monologue of stage fright today. It's not just failing, it's failing on the internet forever.
So he's standing there, terrified of becoming a meme. And he opens his mouth.
And his opening line is great. He secures these polite chuckles right away by saying, "Hi, I am Rushik, and I am an introvert doing stand-up because therapy is expensive."
See, here's where it gets really interesting, because I got to push back on this traditional idea of stand-up.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, isn't comedy usually about dominating the room? Like having this massive ego. How does someone who is actively fighting his own brain, literally telling himself to smile like a hostage in a ransom video, how does he win over a room of loud finance bros?
Well, his secret weapon here is radical vulnerability. Instead of dominating, he disarms them. He makes his own social anxiety the punchline. He actually gives this brilliant metaphor for his performance style. He says he's out there trying to seduce a lion with a PowerPoint presentation.
While just praying his internal confidence network doesn't drop the connection mid-bit.
Exactly. And the way he interacts with the crowd is fascinating. Like, take those finance bros you mentioned.
Oh, right. The guys who look like they'd rather be benchmarking crypto.
Yeah, he completely disarms them. One of those guys laughed so hard that the author notes his spirit briefly left his body and returned wearing Crocs.
Wearing Crocs. I mean, that is just amazing. But it wasn't all just finance bros, right? He does crowd work, which sounds terrifying.
It is terrifying. He roasts a couple in the front.
Oh, yeah, the girlfriend.
Right. So the guy laughs, the girlfriend laughs, and then the joke clicks for her.
She realizes it's about her.
Yeah, and she just stares at him like he's fake Chanel from a flea market.
Ouch.
And the boyfriend is just sitting there, suddenly realizing he's probably single again.
That tension must have been so thick. But then he pivots to table 6, right?
Yeah, a table of women. He does a joke on emotional unavailability.
And it triggers this wild reaction. One of them just screams, "Yes, preach."
The author says he actually considered conducting a mass healing for them right there.
Which, I mean, maybe they needed it. And amidst all this, you've got this one solo uncle sitting at the very back of the bar.
Oh, the uncle possessed by Johnny Labor's ghost.
Yes, letting out this cemetery haunting cackle. It was so loud, the author says his own depression literally stood up and slow clapped.
It's so good. But all this vulnerability, it inevitably leads to the ultimate do-or-die moment for any comedian.
The risky joke.
The risky joke.
Yeah, he goes for this deeply specific bit about childhood trauma and South Bombay moms. He delivers the punchline. And
complete silence.
Just a vacuum. He literally hears himself gulp.
The panic sets in.
Oh, completely. He describes his soul literally leaving his body, hovering over the bar, checking Zomato for a career change, and then floating back in.
Which is so relatable.
Anyone who has ever bombed a presentation knows that exact feeling.
What's fascinating here is the anatomy of how that tension breaks. A lot of people would rush to fill the silence. They panic and talk faster.
Right, just babble to cover it up.
But he doesn't. He's willing to just sit in the awkwardness. And because he does that, the audience actually gets a chance to process the joke and connect with him on this deeply human level.
And then it happens. One laugh, then another.
Until the whole room cracks like a Tinder date after 3 drinks.
That's such a great comparison. It becomes warm, disarmingly loud, lots of awkward eye contact.
And the aftermath for him is just pure adrenaline. He's standing there sweating, realizing he hadn't exhaled since he got on stage.
But he survived. He calls himself a socially awkward phoenix rising from the ashes of self-doubt and low battery warnings.
Which is just an incredible image.
It really is. So what does this all mean? Like, we go from this hilarious climax to the underlying philosophy. How does this flip our conventional understanding of bravery?
This raises an important question because we're taught that courage is supposed to look like a war cry, right?
Yeah, like total fearlessness.
But the author's core thesis is that if you feel too quiet or too weird or too nervous, you just do it anyway. Courage sometimes looks like an introvert with shaking knees telling self-deprecating jokes in a sticky bar.
He even says laughter is the most rebellious sound a shy person can make in a loud world. I love that.
It's so true. We always think we need to cure our anxiety to be successful.
Right. Fix the weirdness first.
Exactly. But his perspective shows that our quirks, our low battery warnings, our resting panic faces, those are actually the source of our most authentic power. The world doesn't need perfect performers. It needs brave weirdos who turn their anxiety into applause.
Wow. Think about your own life, you listening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you holding back because you feel like a cat in a dog park?
Right.
What loud room in your world is desperately waiting for your quiet, awkward rebellion?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, stepping onto your own stage, whatever that is, it doesn't require losing your weirdness. It just requires owning it.
Thank you for listening to Stories by Ruchik podcast. For more such podcasts, follow Stories by Ruchik on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Prime Music, and YouTube.